Hare Krishna. Last time we had a chance to talk here. Oh, we got Plan B, huh? We talked about the mind from Bhagavad Gita. And I thought that we could pick up where we left off. Because Krishna says in the Gita is our spiritual source book, our foundational source book. And in the Gita, Krishna takes the role of the perfect master, and Arjuna takes the role of us as every man. And it's described as perfect questions, perfect answers. Arjuna asks all the questions that are on our mind, and Krishna gives excellent answers. So in part of that dialogue, Krishna says that the mind is the greatest friend and the worst of enemies. So the mind can cause a lot of trouble. The body causes trouble, but frankly, the mind causes much more trouble, much more anxiety and tension and distress and pain. So it's a good thing. It's discussed a lot by the yogis and the sadhus or saintly people. So just to kind of have a recap, there's two analogies that my spiritual master, my teacher, gave to me and are found in the Vedic literatures. And if nothing else, there's a clock. Look at that. That's handy. If nothing less, if you go home with these two pictures, they will help you. They help me, they've helped others, and hopefully they'll help you. So now to explain this, what do we mean by the mind? So an analogy Krishna gives, and this is just a recap, is that picture a stagecoach from the cowboy movies. You've got the horses, you've got the reins, you got the driver, you've got the passenger, okay? So you got the stagecoach, you got the passenger, you got the horses, you got the reins, you got the driver. So the analogy Krishna gives is this body is like the carriage, like the stagecoach. The horses are like the senses. As the horses are pulling the stagecoach left, right, forward, whatever, the senses pull us out into this world. We're seeing, we're smelling, we're tasting, we're touching, we're hearing, and they bring us out into the world. Right on time. No, he's timed. He sets off. He's got an internal clock. The reins are like the mind. The reins take all the like the reins control the horses. So all the raw data, all the input coming in from the senses, the mind forms those into packages. Oh, this dog is barking. Is he hungry? Is he loose? Is he about to chew on my leg? What's that? Whatever. Oh, hey, I'm hungry. What time? When's this guy going to finish up? And we're going to have. So all that raw data comes in. The mind puts it into packages. That's like the reins. Then the intelligence is like the driver. It says, no, we're going to go left. We're going to go right. We're going to stop. So the intelligence gives direction to the mind based on the input from the senses. And our real self, who we are, is just the passenger. We're different from the senses. We're different from the mind. We're different from the intelligence. Someone was saying the other day about false ego. There's real ego, which is understanding I'm the passenger. And false ego is thinking I'm black or white or male or female or Chinese or, whatever it may be. So that's one picture. We are not the mind. We're not the senses. We are someone else. Given that premise, the other example that my teacher gave me, and it's found in the Katha Upanishad, one of our Vedic literatures, is that if you have a beautiful bird in a cage, let's just assume, birds fly free, all that, but let's just assume there's a bird in a cage. Now, if you spend your time polishing I spend my time polishing the cage. I'm buffing it, I'm cleaning it, I'm polishing it, I'm decorating with all kinds of jewels and this and that. But I don't feed the bird. What is the use of the cage? If the bird keels over, clunk, and I say to my friends, look at this great cage. It's gold, it's gilded, it's, jeweled, it's, you say, hey, Polly wants more than a cracker, How about CPR, So we live in a culture, and we're strongly influenced, all of who are influenced by what we see, by what we hear. I was saying the other day, the average American, I think it's 357 commercial jingles the average American can remember under hypnosis. So all of that, someone said to my spiritual master many, many years ago, now people know mantra and all this meditation, but, in the mid-70s, it was pretty foreign stuff. So someone said, this chanting of mantras and meditation, this is brainwashing. My teacher said, if the brain is dirty, shouldn't you wash it? It made sense to him, So the understanding that we're not this mind or senses or body, we are the passenger, and understanding that we are conditioned, we're pushed, actually it's often quite insidious. I don't want to take too much time, but in so many ways we're actually manipulated. We think we're free. Oh, you monks, you have so many things. You don't eat meat, you don't eat fish, you don't eat eggs, you get up early in the morning, you're not going to the latest rave or whatever, whatever's happening. You're not, you're restricted. I'm free. Actually, they're not they're completely like a bull. Of course, if you've ever been to the developing world, you'll see, a small child, little boy, little girl, they're a big, big bull. That bull can go anywhere he wants. But with a ring in the nose, the bull is completely controlled. I've seen it, so anybody's seen it, even in the developing world they'll see, or on a farm, because that septum is very sensitive, and they can be. So we think we're free, but we're completely manipulated. You go into the supermarket, you're like a pinball machine through that thing. Most people run in to get milk and butter, or whatever, that's always in the back. I'm going to get bread, I need some milk for cereal or whatever, It's always in the back. You know why? Because they route you right through that thing. There's no clocks. There's no exterior light. It's usually in the front, but not in the rest. So that you just lose track of time, and before you know it, you got a shopping cart full of garbage, and all you came in was for milk and butter. So, it's insidious, and don't think it's by accident. We're consumer units. I was talking, anyway, I don't want to spend much time on that. So the point is that the Vedic focus, just by the law of averages, we have our Magellan, who sailed through the, whatever it was, the tip of South, tip of Magellan, tip of South America. You've got Columbus, you've got, we've got so many, I remember studying chemistry and so many, this law and that law, all named after themselves. So there's many intellects who've researched and explored the exterior world in the Western tradition. They're searching this world. All well and good. Hey, I'm using a microphone. I got an iPad. Okay, fine. We're not discounting the value of that. But the focus of the Vedas and the great saints and sages throughout time is, what about the world of consciousness? What about that realm? You've got explorers in so many other realms of the exterior world. You got your lab book, you got your maps, you got your whole charts of the sea. It is not really, just logically, there will also be great intellects that have explored the internal world of consciousness. Why not? As there's been exterior explorers, there are interior explorers. And they've left their charts and their maps and their lab books. Those are the great Vedic literatures. And there's a science. By science, I mean a methodology that will if you follow the steps, you'll get a result. Every time you follow the steps, assuming you've got pure elements and all that, and you follow the steps properly in right sequence, right quantity, you'll get the result. Follow the method, you get the result. There's a way of distilling water. It's a simple thing, you know. You can get rid of all the external elements of water and get pure, you know, whatever it is. H2O, whatever it is. In a similar way, there is a technique, there is a science honed and perfected over the ages, how to explore the interior world and realize the self, that independent identity, our real self, not the body, not the mind, not the senses. What is that self? Who am I, free from all of these other things? And there's a technology, a spiritual technology for reaching that. The Vedas divide knowledge. In English, we have the word knowledge. I guess you could shade it over a little bit and say there's also wisdom, which is a little more refined understanding of knowledge. The Vedas put a sharp point on it. They say there's knowledge which is theoretical. You know, somebody puts a nice slice of, let's pick something, a nice slice of cake. Looks great, right? You know, if you're inclined to cake, if you don't like cake, pie, whatever pastry you prefer. But, hey, it looks good. This actually, I knew it was a long story, but my daughter, when she was a young girl, she cooked a cake, but she mixed up what was the, you know, sugar and what was salt. So it looked good. You know, she was, I think she was 5.5 years old, 6 years. I said, oh, here, have a slice of cake. You know, as a loving father, I'm woofing this thing down, like, my God, it's going to kill me. You know what? Oh, nice, thumbs up, you know. So, you know, assuming you follow properly, you will get the result. So what I wanted to talk about today, in addition to as I was saying, there's theoretical knowledge. The cake looks good. That's jnana. That's the Sanskrit term is jnana, which means to know. Vijnana, you can see that it's based on the word jnana or knowledge, but it's called realized knowledge. So I can understand that theoretically, okay, maybe I'm consciousness. It's not just C fibers firing or, you know, the synapses in the brain. Maybe I am, maybe brain function, just like if you have a computer, if your computer crashes, you can't function, you can't communicate, you know, you just shut down. But it's not that you keel over in your chair and you're dead and gone. You are independent of that computer, although you need the computer to interface, to act, to access knowledge. But it doesn't mean that you are the computer. You follow the difference? In the similar fashion, we're not the brain. The brain's like a computer. We are operating the computer. We're working in the world through that computer. You need it. But it doesn't mean that if it malfunctions, you cease to be. We are not simply brain function. The brain is a tool used by our real self, the consciousness, or the self, the soul, the eternal soul. Okay, fine. Sounds good. How do I realize it? How does it become actual knowledge? That you can, just like the cake looks good, but when you taste it, you really know. So how do we have that conviction? What is the technology? What is the science? What is the phenomenology or methodology that brings us to that level? There are many factors. One of the factors, and actually the most powerful factor, we need Exhibit A. Govardhan Prabhu. Can you bring one of the sets of Japa Mala? Because we were talking about the mind and what to do about it. Throughout time, in every genuine spiritual tradition, everyone's wondering what's happening over there. Come on, Govardhan. They're not going to know. They're not going to listen to what I'm saying till they see it. Is it complicated? Okay, thanks a lot, Prabhu. Yeah, they do tend to get tangled up if you have a bunch of them. But these are called Japa Mala. Hey, Thank you very much, Prabhu. Excelente. Okay. These are wooden beads. They happen to be from a sacred tree in India called tulsi. But, you can use anything you want. In fact, devotees in the Soviet days, under Andropov and all those guys, Brezhnev, many of the devotees were thrown in jail. And their mantra meditation beads were taken away from them. So what they did is they were on bread and water, literally, because they're not drinking vodka, they're not eating, borf and bish soup or whatever. So they would take that dried bread, push it into a ball, poke a straw through it, make a hole in it, let it dry in the sun, take a strip off their bed, and they made their own beads out of, Russian bread. So it doesn't matter what you use. But the principle is you will find Buddhists, Muslim, Catholics, so many different traditions. This method of reciting the holy name of the Supreme helps you realize you're different than the body and different than the mind. Well, I'm thinking of a bunch of things, and I'm looking at the time. That ability to look down, if I'm climbing up a mountain, I can't really, turn left, turn right. Okay, there's a rattlesnake that way, there's a ravine this way, there's cactus the other way. From my angle up, I can only see so far. But if I've got a drone or I'm, up, higher, I can look down and I can clearly say, hey, don't go that way, go that way. Wait a minute, try this. You can see the picture fuller. By the process of mantra meditation, it's called japa mala, chanting or japa sadhana. By chanting on beads and saying the holy names of Krishna, because they have spiritual potency. If I put a metal rod into fire, if I can touch this, no problem. Let's hope I don't break it. But I can, no problem, right? What happens if I put that in fire, leave it in a fire, and I pull it out? It becomes red hot. By association with fire, it becomes like fire. I touch it, then I'm burnt. So by association with fire, it became fire. It is called Shabda Brahman, or spiritual sound vibration. By associating with spiritual sound vibration, it actually, like the metal rod into the fire, our consciousness, when associating with spiritual sound vibration, the holy name of the Supreme, that spiritual sound vibration has I was going to say profound, but it has a completely transformational effect. And over time, one can see, just like looking down, one can see, oh, wait a minute, that's my pride. That's not me. Somebody disrespected me, or somebody said, I don't like your beard. Well, okay, is that really going to send me into a tizzy? But people just get spin off by whatever it is. It's Facebook, Instagram, is one of the most devastating effects on young girls' self-esteem. Because they're always everybody posts their best picture of themselves, and they look at those things, and then they go, oh, wait, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm this or that, and they completely demoralized. There's another thing, you all know, but there's another thing called, was it FOMO, fear of missing out? You're just hanging out, reading a book in the backyard. Well, let me check my... And you say, hey, everybody's over at SeaWorld, or I don't know if they're at SeaWorld anymore. Hey, everybody went to, whatever it is, And they're having a great time. And they didn't invite me. What? And you're completely depressed and spun out. I mean, it's a simple example, but, you were sitting perfectly happy in your backyard, minding your own business. Oh, hit a nerve there. But the point I'm trying to make is that work with me, my friend. They're listening to you, not me. Anyway, the The point I'm trying to make is this, that when we have the ability, just like you develop muscles, by exercise, by japa mantra meditation, one learns to control the mind, and then one learns to see, wait, that's not me. I'm not this pride, I'm not this ego, I'm not this anger, I'm not this burning desire, I'm none of these things. Oh, and who am I? And you begin to develop a sense of who you actually are. We are eternal spirit soul. And one realizes there's also a taste. It's called Atmaram, which means Atma means self, Rama has many meanings, but one of the meanings is happiness. And that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sojate na kanchate, that's the Sanskrit from a verse in the Gita. And it means that one comes to the point that no more hankering, no more lamenting. That one actually tastes the happiness of the self, free from the sense of time. Oh, I had it, but I lost it. I don't have it, but I want it. All of that dissipates. And one begins to get, wait, there's a whole other level of happiness. There's a whole other way of looking at the world that's liberating. So we'll in there, I don't want to take too much time, but I did have a purpose, believe it or not. If we want to experiment, well, okay, maybe I'm not this mind. I'll just tell you quickly. We have a big festival we put on once a year pre-COVID, and once we get out of this mess, we'll do it again. In Los Angeles, it's called Ratha Yatra. The LA Times calls it a spiritual Barnum and Bailey circus. We have these beautiful carts and a big displays, and we take up it's a whole thing. The police estimate is about 25,000 people participate in the parade. It's just fantastic. So that's what I was going to say. So we have a question and answer booth. We also have a huge free feast booth, which is fantastic. So I usually manage the free food booth, at least in the beginning. But things were going on smoothly. I slipped out, and I was listening to one of our senior monks in the question and answer booth. Because, just people have so many questions, and it's fun. So it was a big crowd, and I was trying to listen to the devotee. And there were two large men. We were talking about bodily sense and low self-esteem. But let me just say these guys were large. They were land whales. And I could not see, but the devotee said the beginning of spiritual life is to understand that we're not this body, but we're the soul within. Once again, we are not this body. And one of the large guys, to his credit, said to his large friend, "Boy, that's a relief." So it's a fact, the relief of understanding, wait a minute, I'm not all this stuff. I'm something else, and there's a whole other plane of happiness. So we were saying about how to realize this japa meditation, this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. There's an art to it, but we use the thumb and we use the, whatever you call this, is that the middle finger? Whatever it is. Used for other purposes. Here you can use for a spiritual purpose. But you chant, repeat in quiet meditation, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then you move on to the next beat, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Now we monks, we do this in the morning. It's a very auspicious time. It's called Brahma Mahta. Things are quiet. According to Vedic technology, the ether, the atmosphere is free from so much static. But the point is, I would like you, do whatever you want. We have a stack of these beads. You can take them for free. If you want to, what do they cost, Balaram? If you have, yeah, they cost $7. But the fact of the matter is we brought a huge bag of them home. So take them home. Take them home with you. But try this chanting of the holy name of Krishna, these spiritual sound vibrations, because that is the technology. It's the technology, it is the science developed by great saints and sages since time immemorial for being able to get above your mind, get above our pride and anger and ego and lust and everything else that's mixed up there, and actually get in touch with the self. And it works. Now, one last thing and we'll end. If you have a wild horse, Mustang I think they call it, but you have a wild horse in the forest, right, or whatever, out in the plains. It's peacefully eating grass, no problem. Yeah, very tranquil. What happens when you put a saddle on that horse? That wild horse? He goes absolutely nuts. We've all seen the movie, Bucking Bronco. So the mind is used to being in charge. Hey, we're just the little, take me here, take me there. Oh, you feel like, and we're just being kicked like a football, soccer, football. So when we say, hey, hang on a minute, I'm tired of doing that. I'm not following you. At least for the next 15 minutes, 10 minutes, I'm going to be in charge, if you don't mind. You can kick me like a football the other 23 and a half hours of the day, but let me just have a mini vacation from all of your grief. We get stuck in a root, in a groove. It's like an endless loop. You get earworms or whatever. We got brain worms that just keep going and going and going and going, I should have said this. I should have. You say, wait, I'm not getting on that train. Give me a mini vacation. Give me a break for a few minutes and let me get in touch with myself. Give me some relief. So that's what japa. So sometimes the mind spins like that wild bronco. But if you stay with it, you will find it is the most profound. At the end of the day, whatever happened at the office or work or whatever it is, chant a little japa. You'll find that, maybe it wasn't so important. Or maybe, instead of reacting like this, maybe I should just do this. It's so many things become clear and relieved. In the morning before you go out, we all have a breakfast. You all brush your teeth, I hope. Whatever. So why not clean the mind before you go? So there it is. We'll end here if you have some questions, because I think, are we ready with the prasadam? We'll take some questions, right? Because I don't want to keep going on forever. But they're over there on the book table. You can take them home. We'll be happy. If nobody gives a dime and you all take them home, we will be so happy. And the devotees can show you how to chant if you didn't catch it here, but it's very simple. You say the Hare Krishna mantra, what is it, 16 words, 32 syllables, and it opens up the door to eternity. Okay, but take them home and try it. What do you got to lose? So any questions? Are the wheels turning for prasadam, or do we wait till they manifest? Coming soon. All right. When you ride a train in India, thanks. When you ride a train in India, of course it's getting better, but it's kind of sweet actually. You'll see a signboard, and it's got, when the trains arrive, it'll say the Rajdhani Express at this time, the Punjabi Mail at this time. And sometimes instead of a time, it says IST. Anyone from India seen that in chalk, IST? Anyone know? It means Indian Standard Time, which means nobody. They call it Indian Stretchable Time, So in India, and in many places in the world, when they say, just now coming, lean back and relax. You've got some time. So we'll see what's going on here. So anyone have a question? Yes. Oh, go ahead. Ask away. Oh, we have the mic? We have this one. Do they need this, tapas? Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you. First off, thank you. I really enjoy your talk. It's really
Thank you
beautiful.
for listening.
Thank you.
You stayed awake. I'm
It's
impressed.
mainly a comment, not really a question. So to me, in the mantra, there's the potency of Krishna, the name, the sound, that's sacred. But I think one important thing is also the breathing. Because I think the verses are designed to have us breathe in a certain way.
Oh, definitely.
And so those who do asanas or vipassana, they know the importance of the breath as a bridge.
There's a principle
Yeah.
of yoga asanas. The whole purpose of all the different yoga postures, there's byproducts. If I throw a rock into a pond, concentric circles come out. If I have the outer circle, all the other circles are, included within that. So by japa, the different asanas, the different postures, they're meant to help control the breathing, but the ultimate goal is to realize I'm not the mind, I'm not the body. It's the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, definitely controls the breath, controls the
'cause
mind.
you added
There's so
to-
many
I mean,
things.
To me, it's either every 2 verses or 4 I have to breathe, and so that really makes.
Yeah, well, I don't
mean,
want to. But the thing is, I appreciate that, and you're right.
I mean, that's a comment you. Can,
No,
yeah.
you're right. You're definitely 100%. And thank you. The only thing is, I don't want people to don't get hung up on, oh, how am I breathing, or how am I sitting? I mean, that happens. Who's that at the door? Is a phone ringing? What's for breakfast? All that's going on in the mind, But all the great teachers say, the real thing is just to hear the sound. So everything else will come as a byproduct, but if one just hears the sound, everything else will come from it. Anybody else have a question? Oh, fantastic.
Thank you for your speech tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned your thumb and your middle finger. Are you to use those to count the beads after
Oh,
each?
what usually
16
happens, but see, I don't want people to get hung up in having to think about so many external things, but your point is right. And anybody have their japa bead bag with them? Do we have japa mala, Exhibit A? Why, thank you very much. Oh, Saul. Okay, so you don't have to do this. Just somehow or other get the beads and chant. But we, the monks, we keep our japa mala, our mala, in a bead bag because it stays clean and neat. And you will see Exhibit A here. We have these beads which we keep track because as monks we have a vow that we're going to chant so many rounds a day. A round means going from, there's 108 beads. It represents 108 Upanishads. This is Krishna. So, it flows from Krishna to Krishna. There's all kinds of symbology. But we don't want to get lost in that. So the thing is that one round means we start here and you chant all the way back to the head bead or the Krishna bead. And we count that as one round and we mark it. But, we're full-time, we're all in. We're full-time monks. The rest of you, maybe you're going to work, you've got something going on. So, just start. If one chants one round a day, wow, well, that was a nice break, So, does that answer your question? We do mark our beads, and we do, the number of times we chant. But the important thing is you just start. What is it? The first journey, the longest journey starts with the first step. So it is the most. This age, like there's different seasons: summer, spring, fall, winter. Of course, San Diego, it's practically always spring, but the principle is there. Other places, parts, like live in Chicago, you'll find seasons there, and it's nice actually. But the point is that each season has symptoms. It's described according to the Vedas. You can accept it or not, but according to the Vedas, the universe, this planet, the one in particular, but the whole universe, goes through what they call yugas or ages, and each age has symptoms. There's an age called Satya Yuga. It's very conducive to meditation. The age we're in now is called Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga means it's symptomized by quarrel, hypocrisy, confusion, friction. It's said that just like a bamboo forest, the wind blows through and by the friction, fire is caused. So even amongst natural allies and friends, husband and wife, brother and brother, whatever it may be, there's friction. And it's just the nature of the age. So in this age, there's the prasadam. In this age, the chanting is the easiest. Easy doesn't mean simplistic. It doesn't mean, okay, that's step A. It might teacher used to say it's both simple and sublime. So in this age where, you know, we're not going to go off and live in the Himalayas or, you know, in some cave somewhere. It's a long story, but do we start passing them out now? Yeah, okay, so you go ahead, don't wait for me, go ahead. Well, I'm just the choir till the maiden chorus shows up. Yeah, go ahead, thanks. I thought, okay, I'm going to, you know, before I met my spiritual master and became a Bhakti yogi, I went to Oregon and I went to the Cascade Mountains and I was going to go, I was backpacking, I had a tent, I was going to go as far back in the woods and just get away from everything and meditate. So I walked back I drove as far as I could, I parked my car. I got on a logging road, I walked as far as I could. I got to a trail, I walked as far as I could. And I was out in the middle of nowhere. Nice little stream, forest, peaceful. I thought, that's it. I said, now I can meditate. I sat down, got myself on a lotus. I looked up, and there was a biplane flying by, trailing something that said, drink Coca-Cola. I thought, oh, jeez, you know. It was there evidently was some national park, and it was 4th of July weekend, and somebody did high. I thought, man, you cannot get away from it, you know. So, even though it's simple, it is this chanting of japa and there's profound philosophy behind it. You know, don't get me wrong, but it is tailor-made.